Rutted paths and planked roads for horse-drawn wagons, a brick-paved street where signs and cautions abound. An expressway that makes it easy to get to more places and to get there faster, and commands the driver's full attention. Over the last century, the religious landscape in Indianapolis has changed as much as its roadways. Congregations traveled these thoroughfares outward in a series of roughly concentric circles, moving their houses of worship through the inner suburbs to developments in what was farmland just a generation ago. But the desire for shared experiences keeps them on the road, forging connections to their neighborhoods, to their community, and to other congregations with which they enjoy a common bond.
Hello, I'm Marcy Davis. Faith and community, the public role of religion, aims to deepen our understanding of the diversity and vitality of religion in America, its people, institutions, and ideas, and their influence on our life together. The series is based on a study, the largest of its kind, that included interviews with religious and civic leaders, congregational members, and public citizens in metropolitan Indianapolis, a study conducted by the Polis Center at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. An earlier series, Religion as a Window on Culture, illustrates the variety of religions that are practiced in the United States. But what we sometimes overlook is the diversity we find within America's predominant religious tradition, Christianity, its complexities and relationships to the larger culture and to other religions. In looking at this tradition in Indianapolis, we hope to provide a window through which other American cities can be viewed. With a population of 1.5 million people, Indianapolis is big enough to be diverse, yet small enough to comprehend. Through 11 episodes, Faith and Community will introduce you to the public role of religion.
Even from a significant distance, the ties that link believers to one another can be powerful. Ties based not only on geography, but also on outlook and religious tradition. Many members look for ways to strengthen mission and ministry with fellow believers who might not be found in the next pew. This search leads to partnerships among congregations, alliances that reach across and into all corners of the metropolitan area.
I think one of the most important components is simply a sense of the notion of partnership and of each group bringing its own particular gifts into that partnership.
These public ministries tend to fall into 4 categories: outreach projects that are led by individual congregations, partnerships between urban and suburban faith groups, faith-based coalitions within a particular neighborhood, and organizations that include congregations from the entire metropolitan area.
Urban ministry requires a great deal of fortitude. It is not an easy ministry. There are a few select saints who have decided to commit themselves, oftentimes by actually physically moving to downtown urban locations and giving their lives for other people.
Those congregations also serve at times as a front door to services available in the larger community.
so that somebody comes through that front door. And the church isn't providing all those services, or the mosque or synagogue, but they're providing access to those services. They're explaining how you get welfare, how you get food stamps. They're explaining where you go for domestic violence shelter. They're explaining where you go to get workforce training, or how to enroll your child in a preschool.
Civic leaders are not divorced from religious life or from politics. Politicians are not divorced from civic life and religion, and so forth and so on. I would hope they would come to see the commonalities, that perhaps their point of view comes from predominantly a civic point of view, or predominantly from a religious point of view, or political point of view, or whatever, but that the commonalities among the three are very strong.
These congregations are valuable resources in a neighborhood, and local civic leaders may miss opportunities if they don't pay attention to what's already going on inside.
I once had a student who made a study of a large Chicago suburb in which she was studying the seniors and delivery of services. And she found that there were two networks. One was the social workers and the social agencies and the secular agencies, and they were doing their job. And the other were the churches. And what was interesting was they didn't know each other, and they didn't know how much they were doing that both differed from and complemented each other.
Even some relatively small congregations show a deep commitment to offer comprehensive help to neighbors.
Some congregations enjoy the fact that they are the givers, but don't stop and think, how have we been shaped? How have we been changed? How have we been strengthened? How have we been blessed?
The ministry of Mount Zion Baptist Church in Indianapolis has always been focused on its own neighborhood. In 1938, Dr. Richard T. Andrews began a pastorship that lasted 45 years.
It was really under his ministry that the church really began to have national prominence because of its outreach to the community. His model was to serve people from the cradle to the grave. And by that, he initiated a daycare program, which was the first in the city of Indianapolis, and also senior housing and disability. And so those two, the front end being the children, and then at the twilight years of life, a place where seniors can feel safe until they breathe their last breath.
Pastor Andrews sought to improve quality of life through the ministries of the church. His innovation created the only African-American-owned federal credit union in the state.
It really helped persons purchase homes at the time when it was first started. It helped persons manage money, save money. It provided possibilities for persons to put aside money for college, and small business loans as well.
The vision is to extend these services beyond the congregation and into the neighborhood.
I pray 10 years from now that we would be able to see an assisted living facility, that we would have satellite credit unions in other churches or in other communities, and that we would be continuing to make a significant difference for Christ. Because I really believe that, as Jesus said, I've come that you might have life and have it more completely, more abundantly.
Cross and Crown Lutheran Church is a suburban congregation in northeast Indianapolis. Through a mission partnership with a downtown church, some of its members experience urban realities.
Suburban life tends to give us a sort of skewed vision of how life really is. And so when you move downtown, you have to take on a totally different perspective on how you live. Your daily routine, you have to plan things out differently because there's not just a mall right here, or there's not just a grocery store here, or those kinds of things.
Ralph Kirkpatrick recently moved from an assistant pastorship at Cross and Crown to lead First Lutheran in downtown Indianapolis, a church in need of redevelopment. He found that First Lutheran hosted a meal some Sundays for the less fortunate in the neighborhood. He enlisted the help of his former congregation so that more could be served.
Go therefore into the main streets and invite everyone you find to the wedding banquet. The ministry was already there, the people were already there. All we needed was a couple of dozen people who could put together some food and be willing to serve, and it took off. We served between 140 and 180 on any given Sunday.
It's easy to be in our little suburban ghetto and miss a great deal of understanding of people in different areas and different cultures in different parts of the city. And so we get to learn from them. We get to mingle with some of the people that are there, and we, again, learn a great deal about them. We are the ones that are equally touched, challenged, deepened.
Give us the grace to understand that life is difficult on everyone and that it's a struggle. And that when I believe they begin to see the reality of the suffering of the world, that there is a huge amount of poor and there is a huge amount of need in a city this size. And they begin to engage in that life and in those people's lives, and they begin to be transformed.
We have families that use this as an opportunity to teach social responsibility to their children. You should see the joy when the children go down and serve.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
The two churches have also decided to partner in offering a lay counseling program known as Stephen Ministries.
Stephen's ministry is about walking a journey together with somebody, not showing them where to go or how to get there.
Volunteers go through a 50-hour training course that prepares them to provide one-on-one Christian-based care for a person going through a life crisis.
It's not about curing people. It's not about solving their problems. It's about engaging in the lives of others, in their struggles, in their joys, in their pains, in their happiness.
As with many mission partnerships, this one is based on relationship.
Pastor Ralph Kirkpatrick had a chance to work together with us here, and so there was a relationship between he and many people in the congregation. So when he moves down to First Lutheran, that relationship is a bridge into which a number of people are able to cross and work together with him, with his people there.
Jesus came to challenge the rich and the wealthy to lift up the poor and those who are hurting, women, children, the sick, the blind, the lame. All those were the people Jesus ministered to. He said, you know, the well have no need of a physician. As far as I'm concerned, and the ministry of Christianity is a ministry of giving of ourselves to those in need.
Some forms of ministry are better suited to a coalition of congregations, bringing together several neighborhood churches to join forces in a separate organization. The Mid-North Shepherd Center draws seniors from 6 area churches to offer an ecumenical buffet of educational programs, excursions, and spiritual support for people over 55.
It's seniors who do things for other seniors. The leadership is predominantly seniors, and the feeling is that older people have so many resources and so many gifts to give. So we look to see what kinds of gifts they would like to give. So rather than bringing in a lot of younger people to direct a program, they're the finance committee and the program committee and all the other committees do the work.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. How are you? It's the whole day through.
A typical day at the Shepherd Center might include a song fest, a lecture,
Covered by a dense jungle.
calligraphy lessons, and blood pressure screenings. And there's always a meal. The main benefit, though, is simple human contact.
Older people need touch and hugs, and many of them don't get it once they lose a spouse or a sibling who's lived with them all their lives. So we give hugs in abundance.
Participating congregations provide financial support for the center's meals and transportation, plus publicity about upcoming events.
Real service that goes on here is what the seniors do for each other. And for instance, we just had a woman who needs needs to go to the store every week. And I needed to find a substitute driver to do that. And with one phone call, the person readily said, I can fit that in, I can do that. What they do for each other is the real service.
Every night of the year, the classrooms and community spaces of several local congregations are transformed into places that are safe, warm, and welcoming. And people who might otherwise be anonymous become guests.
One thing we are strong about is keeping the family unit together. And we provide shelter for single fathers with children, single mothers with children, grandparents with children, and also two-parent families. We have services at our day center, but the families stay at different congregations. That really is an extended family for our families. That's the component I think we offer.
Active in Indianapolis since 1994, a multi-faith coalition called the Interfaith Hospitality Network has provided a sense of community to families in crisis.
It's nice to stay here. They have activities for the kids and stuff like that. And here we just stay here until 5 o'clock. Then we go to another church. We stay there for a whole week. Then Sunday we go to a new one. And while we're there, they give us activities and stuff like that.
More than 30 congregations in the metro area take turns, 1 week at a time. The work starts on Sunday.
Thursday. There's approximately 75 time slots that need to be filled when a church or congregation hosts. Unloading the beds, setting up the bedrooms, transporting the guest, hosting them during the evenings, playing with the kids. We try and provide at least an hour of playtime where the parents can kind of chill out a little bit. It gives people an opportunity to be generous with their time or with their money in providing food or donations of a variety of sorts.
IHN cares for more than 50 families each year. 3/4 of its guests are children.
It gives them a chance to focus on getting their lives together in terms of their work and their activities and focusing on their well-being without also having to come up out of being homeless at the same time.
Some of these families are on the bubble. They'll spend time with us, but then they'll move to another shelter. So they're on that homeless bubble.
Helping their guests stay off the homeless bubble is what IHN is thinking of next.
We felt that we should be able to take these families to what we call a permanent solution.
Project Thrive is in its early stages. It's designed to be a way for homeless families to gradually climb out of their crises with the help and support of IHN congregations.
All the tools we need are in those congregations. Those folks are leading lives, they're employed, they have resources, they have prayer, they have spiritual direction. We don't see why we can't take our families and work with them, mentor them, and it may be a 2 or 3 year period. And the result should be home ownership.
Hi, Carol. How are you? Just fine. Good to see you. Good to see you. Come on in. Okay.
We're not going to do the work for the families. The families have to have the initiative, but we will support them and provide fellowship and the resources. But it really is something that the family must take the initiative and leadership to do this journey.
Theodis, how do you like your new home?
It's nice. My own bedroom. My mom gets to cook again.
This is homemade chicken and noodles.
I'm closer to my school.
I couldn't have made it without you.
Thank you, but as you realize, we were just there to give you a little push. You made all the choices. You made all the decisions.
I think it says a lot about the faith community, about their willingness to help and not just focus within their 4 walls.
The best metropolitan partnerships are often mapped out by imaginative religious leaders, and the interchanges kept open by people with a willingness to receive as well as give. Not getting lost along the way requires that the partners recognize what everyone brings to the table: important resources of time, money, experience, or knowledge of the neighborhood. If the connection is based on respect for everyone involved, the destination they reach together can change lives. If you are interested in additional episodes or more information, visit our website at faithandcommunity.org.